What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we are going to talk about defensive audibles for NCAA Football 06. Now, we're going to cover a whole lot more than just your 5-play standard setup in terms of your basic audibles. We're going to go a whole lot into more detail on some other cool options you have in this game. Now, you'd be amazed by what you learn when you actually read the manual. I finally got a hold of a manual. I've had like 3 different copies of 06, but never had the manual for whatever reason. Now I have a copy, and thanks to a good buddy of mine, he was able to PDF the manual for us. So if you go to PlaybookGamer.com and you click on Games and you click on NCAA Football 06, the PS2 manual will be there, again, in PDF format. And this is where we found a lot of this stuff. So this is going to be pretty cool. So this is what we're going to cover today is what is shown in the manual. Now, before we get into the actual options, just wanted to make sure that we're going to cover all the PS2 and the Xbox buttons, along with the triggers, all that good stuff. Also, when it comes to like the D-pad and like the joystick, you're going to see these buttons. Just so you know, you hit the joystick up, right, down, left, or D-pad, then you know what we're talking about here. Okay, when it comes to defense, you got 3 units. It doesn't matter what defense you call, 4-3-3, 4-4-4, 3-3-5, 4-2-5, nickel, dime, it doesn't matter. You always have a defensive line unit, a linebackers unit, and a secondary unit. And EA Sports done a really good job of simplifying this when it comes to knowing what button to press and what to do afterwards. So in terms of the defensive line, think the L1 button for the PS2 and left bumper for the Xbox. For the linebackers, think R1 for the PS2 and right bumper for the Xbox. And last but not least, the secondary, think triangle for the PS2 and the Y button for the Xbox. So now let's talk about the defensive line. Again, think L1 and all of your other button presses come after that. Same for the Xbox left bumper. First, we're going to talk about spreading the line. This is when you just hit your line button and then you hit the up button on the D-pad. You see here in the picture, you got the defensive ends spread out way past outside of the offensive tackles. You can also pinch the line. You just hit the down button on the D-pad and it pinches the line. You can also shift your line to the left by hitting the left button on the D-pad, or you can hit the right button to shift your line to the right. Now we have some neat things that I didn't know about, which is pretty cool now that we know. You can rush your line to the outside. If you hit, for PlayStation 2 purposes, L1, then your right stick up, it spreads out your defensive line when they come after the quarterback. You'll notice in the picture, the defensive ends are going to the outside of the tackles, and the defensive tackles are going outside of the guards. Okay? If you hit down on the right stick, you could jam the line inside. Notice the defensive line are all going inward of the offensive line. You can also crash the line to the left by hitting the left button or hitting the left on the right joystick, or you can crash to the right. Move your right stick to the right to get a crash line to the right. Really cool stuff. Then you can spy your defensive ends. In this case, your right defensive end is square or X on the Xbox. And you notice here the little white circle. The reason why it's white is because he's an impact player. If it's blue, that means he's a non-impact guy, but you can spy him. So that's the right defensive end. That is our right. It's technically to our left when you're looking at the image. But if you go into the left defensive end, you can do that option as well, which is really cool. Now, this is going to be very popular because if you notice, if you played any of 06, a lot of the QB scrambles by the CPU are always to the right side. So spying your left defensive end like this is going to be very helpful. Okay? That's it for the defensive line. Now let's talk about the linebackers. Again, think R1 for the PS2 and right bumper for the Xbox. You can spread your linebackers by hitting up on the D-pad. You can see our outside linebackers going way beyond our defensive ends. Then you can pinch the linebackers. You can see our 3 linebackers pinching in. And you can shift the linebackers to the left. Hit the left button on the D-pad. Hit the right button on the D-pad to shift them to the right. And here's another thing I did not know. You can blitz all your linebackers if you hit R1 or RB on the Xbox and right stick down. it sends every linebacker down. Now, again, this cover, it doesn't matter what defense you call. You could be in a 3-4, 4-2-5. All it does is it recognizes who your linebackers are, and it will blitz all of them at once, which is really cool. Then you can call off all blitzes. If you're calling any play that has any blitz whatsoever, it will call off that blitz and any other one for the linebackers. And that is, you hit right stick up. And what it'll do is it'll take any outside linebacker into a basic zone coverage, and it'll take the middle linebacker and turn it into a spy. You see the little smaller blue dot underneath the linebacker. You can also individually blitz players. You can blitz the right outside linebacker. You see here, he's our linebacker to our left, technically. It's the right stick to the left. If you want to blitz the left outside linebacker, which is the guy to our right, you can hit the right stick to the right. And that's it for the linebackers. Really cool stuff. Now when it comes to secondary audibles, there's some neat things in here I wasn't aware of either. Again, PlayStation 2, think triangle. For Xbox, think the Y button. Loose coverage. You notice the two corners are back off about 10 yards away from their receivers, and the two safeties backed up like an extra 5 to 7 yards. That is triangle or Y, and then up on the D-pad. You can also do tight coverage. If you press the down button once, it'll press your corners. I do this all the time when I am calling a quarters coverage. That's just the way a lot of the real coaches handle their quarters coverage. They like to press the corners. You also have, if you hit the down arrow twice, it'll bring the safeties closer to the line. Here you see both safeties come down. They're practically right beside both outside linebackers. This is good if you're feeling a pretty good chance they're going to run the ball. You'll have technically a 9-man box, or just depends on which play you call. Then you can do quick audibles. Instead of setting up your own defensive audibles, they're already kind of built in for you. So for like PlayStation 2, if you hit triangle and L1, that is a 1-man coverage. 2 deep man, that's square or X for the Xbox. You can also do 2 deep zone. That's L2 for the PS2 and left trigger for the Xbox. You can also do 3 deep zone, and you can also do quarters. Again, it doesn't matter which formation you're calling. You could do it from a nickel, dime, 3-4. It doesn't matter. All these will affect that particular formation. You can also do man up. Now, I use this all the time. I use it in my quarters. All this means is it takes everybody who's supposed to cover somebody and make sure they are directly over that player. The perfect example of this, you see the linebacker over Dennis, the Kansas State slot receiver. I got the linebacker. I shifted him over directly above him. I use this all the time. I suggest you use it too. Here's another cool thing I didn't know about. You can shift your safeties. You can shift them to the left. If you hit triangle or Y, then the right joystick to the left, it shifts the safeties to the left. You can also shift them to the right. Really cool. Who would have thunk it? And that's it. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment section below. I'm also going to post all of this on the website via images, just JPEG images. That way, if you don't have to shuffle through the video, you could just look at all the images on there. I'm going to put that as my latest blog post. Again, playbookgamer.com. I'm going to put all that on there. All my content's on there. Of course, I'm connected with YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.